but I see that for sure people will try to come for them the best way they can also, and it will be like a back and forth thing, and it's not just gonna be US not saying this is what we want to do and every other country just saying yes sir, let's give you what you want or something.
We're in a trade war, which is interesting. What do you think this tariff will have as economic impact on the US? How do you think it will impact the economy and society?
I mean, it's already doing that. I think the prices of goods already went up, so that's one direct implication of that, at least short term. Long term, maybe it then fixes like the way people trade with the US. Maybe now everyone is being charged accordingly, because now they are claiming, a lot of these countries are just ripping them off. I don't know a lot about that, but yeah, short term for sure, the prices of things are already going up, and the supply might also be cut short due to the whole tariff thing and all. So yeah, any good benefit right now? I don't see any. I think any sort of benefit would definitely be long-term effect. Maybe not right now.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, which makes sense, right? That at least the immediate effect is now companies have to pay more, or at least entities have to pay more to bring in products that Americans need. And if they're paying more, they will simply pass that cost to the consumers. At least in the short term, that price increase is totally expected. But then I think the US government expects that as well. What I'm curious about is, what do they plan to do about that? Are they just expecting that the people will take that and accept it? Or do they have plans already? This is just expectation.
I feel like for sure they are not really talking about it, but they know you just have to adjust. I feel like, I mean, for any government to plan something like this, you just believe that people will sit tight and they will change their dance to the tune of the music, right? So there's no other way they can. Do you feel like there is that they could have any sort of, what's it called now, plan to maybe reduce or to mitigate like the impact of this on the people? Because I don't think that will be there.
Honestly, I think I don't think so as well, because the only thing that I would have thought would be subsidizing things, but then that would be a direct alternate idea to the tariffs. So if you put tariffs on product and then you subsidize the products afterwards, it's just, you're just taking money to pay money,
creating problem to solve it.
Exactly. Then it just means that you use tariffs to increase the price, and then you use subsidies to bring it back down. So it doesn't do the job that it's supposed to do. So I don't think there's anything that they can do. But do you think they have done maybe some sort of analysis on what are the products that Americans actually buy, right? What are the products that Americans actually buy? Are these luxury, ostentatious products, or are these necessities? Because I think that would also impact how people can adjust, right?
I think they are necessities. I think that's why a lot, people are reacting a lot. Maybe that's the problem. I don't think these are things that are supposed to be like basic. For example, the direct one is like cars, right? So apparently even made in US cars are like usually finished in Canada, then imported finally into the US. And I've seen tons of videos on Instagram and TikTok where people who are already purchasing like cars are really pushing it as fast as they could just to get it in the country before all these things starts, like this past few days, right? So I'm like 2 years in the country and I'm already thinking in that direction, because the idea of how you consume cars is just different. So when you ask if it's a luxury or necessity, it is a necessity, but should it be? I would argue no. You know, for cars to be like something you change, that you buy every time, a household have like 3-4 cars, one truck, one this, one. It's just a lot. But it's unfortunately a necessity.
Exactly. But I imagine that this is something that people will be able to deal with in the short term, no? Because when you think about it, so I checked, you're actually right. One of the biggest markets, or the biggest, what do we call it? The biggest industries that will be affected by these tariffs, it's the automotive industry, it's technology, and rare earth minerals. But this industries does not look like necessity to me that people cannot deal with in the short term. Interestingly, America is quite self-sufficient when it comes to food. They actually produce most of the food that they eat internally. America is quite self-sufficient when it comes to energy. And these are the things that actually run the society, run the economy. So if you're not importing, in fact, America is actually close to becoming a net exporter of energy products.
Yeah.
So if energy won't be affected, food won't be affected, housing a little bit affected because of the wood from Canada, but the president has already given the go-ahead to start cutting trees down. So it seems like the bits that might be necessities might not be affected in the short term, at least not as strongly as the bits that I think people should be able to manage short term. Now, this is just my perspective. So unfortunately, I couldn't find ready-made data to just report. It seems like if we want to actually come from the data angle here, we'll have to do our own analysis because of how we would like to interpret it. But as you said, the habits of Americans will definitely make it tough, because some of these things that I think it's not a necessity to buy a second car or to buy a new car every 6 months or something. To Americans,
well, people are already now that you're mentioning it, they are already adjusting, because there was this other video that I saw online, I think a few days ago, maybe yesterday even, and the comment goes like the direction of majority of the people in the comment section was, man, if I'm done paying for this car, man, I'm not changing it for. I think it's rewind like the consumer behavior also to then think about it like, okay, now you have one that you are paying for. I saw like a family, they had like 3 cars that they are still paying for. One like 1,200 every month, another one is like 800 every month. So in total, like the family has like, or they have like $4,000 every month on car payment. And I'm like, this is no longer a necessity, right? But then people are already saying, man, I'm happy, I'm glad my car is paid off, is this. We should normally be how a conservative consumer would think, right?
So you see that when we were talking about how the direct impact of price increase, it's a negative impact for sure. But now would you say this is a positive externality, like unintended consequence, or a negative?
It's a positive one for sure.
Positive one, yeah, because consumption reduces a little bit, but it also impacts the American GDP negatively. That's the other side of it. Now, let's even move away from the short-term impact. The long-term impact, what do you expect to happen?
I mean, retaliation, a lot of them, from everyone they are imposing the tariff on. And that's already even short, I would say. But then maybe
because China already responded.
Exactly. And I feel like
did you see it? China responded with I think additional 34% or 37%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if they had this in mind when they were coming up with this whole plan, that people won't retaliate, or maybe they miscalculated that their importance over another country. But I feel like definitely people won't just go down and just not try to fight for their country. So I expect people to come with like a countermeasure to sort of put the US in place and let them know you just can't do this to us without us putting up a fight or something. So then I don't know where the tariff would stand, or where the whole instrument, then if it works or not. But I see that for sure people will try to come for them the best way they can also, and it will be like a back and forth thing, and it's not just gonna be US not saying this is what we want to do and every other country just saying yes sir, let's give you what you want or something.
We're in a trade war, which is interesting. But for me, I'm seeing something very different. I do not think the reason the US is imposing tariffs on other countries is because they want to be able to send their own product outside. I think the US is more peculiar at this moment about self-sufficiency. Let's produce what we need internally to serve our internal market. And so when China then imposes a tariff on products from the US, do you think it shakes the US that much? Because the US is in any case already in a trade deficit with a lot of countries in the world, right? They import more than they export. And now if they stop importation, maybe majority of what they export, now becomes internal product, and this retaliation does not have the same impact in any case.
Yeah.